So I've compiled. Damn. So I've compiled a few. So recently, with so many exploits being nuked, I've compiled some remaining exploits for every trading company. Each trading company has one or two decent exploits for it, even. I've tried to find ones that are easily repeatable and can be done solo. There are still some notable exploits, but they've definitely dwindled over time, funnily enough along with my respect for rare. Anyways, let's talk about the gold guys first. The best exploit I know of for the gold guys right now is the Devil's Remnant exploit. It's similar to the Vestige of Power method, but slightly less profitable. On top of that, there's this. To do it, you raise your emissary flag, then dive to the Shroudbreaker Talltale. Once you surface, vote it down, then head to any small island around Morrow's Peak. The best ones to go to are Flame's End and Forsaken Brink. Once you're there, vote up an Ashen Crafton's Vault Voyage and make sure the Compass Needle is pointing to the island. If not, cycle voyages until the rod gets a stiffy. After this, you dig up the map piece and extinctify the skeletons. Each one has a chance of dropping a Devil's Remnant, which sells for around 1100 gold base and around 2750 gold with a grade 5 emissary flag, which gets leveled up pretty fast by doing this. Also, I mentioned cycling voyages earlier, so I figured I'd share a tip on how to do this fast. You open the voyage table, unlike all your voyages, then like the voyage you want to vote up and down. From here, you can basically just spam click the left side of your screen to vote up a voyage. Anyways, the Merchant Alliance has the best working exploits currently, and they're the most fun to do. The most notable one is the Manifest exploit, but there's also a Crafton's Key exploit that's definitely worth mentioning. To do the Manifest exploit, you load into a server, and if you aren't at Plunder Outposts already, dive to the Cursed Rogue Talltale. From here, go to the east side of the island, then vote up Ashen Shipwreck Voyages until you get one going from Morrow's Peak to Plunder Outpost. You then look around for a group of small flying shits, and sail to them once located. Once you get there, swim down to the shipwreck, ignoring the cargo hold, then look around for the dead dude holding the manifest. I'll show some common spots to find him here. Once you find him, steal his manifesto, then go back to your ship. Next, vote down the voyage, then cycle Ashen Shipwreck Voyages until you get one on the same route from Morrow's Peak to Plunder Outpost. The birds usually spawn fairly close, but if you don't see them, vote down the voyage and try it again. You can repeat this process infinitely, and here's the profit you can make by doing this. Also, it's worth noting that you can bring a storage crate and loot the shipwreck barrels for fish, making this viable for. In terms of the Crafton's Key exploit, it's a bit simpler. To do this method, try to spawn at Port Merrick, raise your Merchant Emissary flag, then vote up Shipwreck Voyages until you get one going from Port Merrick to the finest trading post. From here, sail south to the set of small flying shits, then park your ship there. Once you park, get the clue barrel and any loot that's there, along with the Crafton's Key, which has a spawn rate of around 40%. Once you get all the loot, cycle Shipwreck Voyages until you get another one going from Port Merrick to the finest trading post. You can repeat this process infinitely, but it'll take a bit to get your emissary flag to grade 5. Each Crafton's Key sells for around 2500 gold base and 6250 gold with a grade 5 emissary flag. It's also worth noting that this does not work alongside the Manifest exploit due to the Crafton's Keys only working for their designated shipwreck. Both of these methods are highly viable for gold and rep, and can be done solo. Anyways, onto the Order of Souls.
Order of Souls time.
This one doesn't have a particularly good exploit to do solo, so this will probably have to be done with a crewmate. But, theoretically, it could be done solo, but I'll get into that in a bit. To do it, you load into a game, and if you're not at Sanctuary Outposts, dive to the Wild Rose Talltale. From here, vote up your Oos emissary flag, then sail to this spot at Sailor's Bounty. It's a somewhat precise location, but it shouldn't be too hard to get right. From here, vote up a bounty for a Skeleton Lord, and it should automatically be for Sailor's Bounty. If not, sail a bit further away, then retry. Once you get it right, do the voyage until the big guy spawns, then have one crewmate go back to the ship and vote to cancel the voyage. Once that crewmate comes back to the island, have the remaining crewmate go back to the ship and fully vote down the quest. Once the remaining crewmate gets back to the island, the big guy should still be there, which you can now kill. After doing so, you can vote up another Skeleton Lord bounty, and it should be to Sailor's Bounty again. You can repeat this process infinitely, making it the best current method for Order of Souls that I'm aware of. Also, it is worth noting that you can potentially do this solo by going back to your ship once the boss spawns, moving it closer, and voting the voyage down before moving back away. But that's just the theory. Anyways, onto Athena. The best method that I currently know of is still the efficiency exploit from the last video, but there is an update on that. First though, I'll let old Fooldoing yap on about the main exploit. To do it, you start off by re-rolling Ash and Athena voyages until you get maps for Fetcher's Rest, Flintlock Peninsula, and Ruby's Fall in the same voyage. Next, you complete the voyage, which shouldn't take too long, then head over to Devil's Thirst. You can now vote up an Ash and Athena voyage and only have to sail between Devil's Thirst and Ashen Reaches. Normally, you would have to sail around a lot, like the Great White Fleet in 1907, but this method drastically reduces that, making it excellent for efficiency maxing Athena loot. This method can also be altered a bit to make it simpler and more repeatable. What you do is once you complete the setup for the main method, vote up a voyage and pick a single island to stay at. You can repeatedly vote up voyages and do the quests only for that island. This method is definitely more chill, and it requires far less brain mass than actually doing things. So I was originally gonna do a fuck-ass bit here where I talked weird like this, but I've since realized that I'd rather die than do that. What I was gonna talk about was that for the reapings, you can do literally any of these methods, but with a Reaper emissary flag up. It would actually be more beneficial if you did this, because gold. Anyways, those are some exploits for every trading company, even. Naturally, I've been testing out some new exploits, but if you guys have any ideas or new information, let me know in the comments. Where the hell is